What's good, y'all? So this is chapter 994 review. If you're new to this channel, I talk about chapters. I'm talking about more stuff too, but if you're new to this channel, I like to talk about it more as if we're in the barbershop or or like we're at home having an argument when it comes to these reviews. But meet somewhere in the gray area and everything. And as the channel grows, I'm gonna introduce more of those aspects into them. But for now, we're sticking to the certain stuff. So, um, chapter review, we basically get an end on the cover art, right? It said, I believe he even says it's the last part of Big Mom's daughter. I'm sorry, guys. Like, I'm forgetting all these things. It's been such a long journey, all right? But basically, the Beige family, he's helping in Lola's wedding. The wedding's over and everything. Lola's getting married. So he's basically helping her out with that. And the story's ending with the Beige family. So that's probably going to come into play later as he reunites with Luffy. We know Luffy's going to read every chapter, every arc. Luffy meets with some pirates who you think will be his enemy, and they become ally, and they become his ally for the future and everything, right? Pretty much since ever, right? The first guy we meet who we believe is going to be his enemy is Buggy, and Buggy becomes an ally. And then when not Arlong himself, but Hachin later becomes an ally. So on and so forth. Frankie, his voice crack. Frankie becomes a member. And was there any allies in this lobby? I don't believe so. Wait, and who else? Ines Lobby. Water 7. Yeah, so not really in Ines Lobby because that was supposed to be like Robin and Frankie's backstory. So not really there, but even right after, right, like in Thriller Bark. In Thriller Bark, we meet Lola, and we believe Lola's going to be an enemy, but she ends up being an ally. And we all know more what happens with Marineford. Is basically everybody come forth, and then in past arcs we had Mr. 3 and Mr. 2, who were originally, enemies, and they became allies. So that's kind of been the theme, and that's only like pre-time skip, right? Post-time skip, it continues Fishman Island. So anyway, my point is, Beige is later going to become, as we saw him in Whole Cake Island. So the chapter begins right where we leave off, and Kiku no Joe. So the chapter begins right where we left off, right? Kinko no Joe, Kiku no Joe. So the chapter leaves off. So the chapter ends right where we left off in 993, right? Kiku no Joe, I believe that's how you say, Kinko no Joe, getting his arm cut off. And like, it's very fast paced. So this chapter is very, very fast paced, which I also loved. Because they've all been fast paced, but this one felt way more focused than 993. They weren't jumping around as much. But basically Kaido would get his arm cut off, and Kaido is basically saying, be prepared to die now. And he's so unintimidated by their power that he goes back to his normal form, which makes me think what was happening to where he was in his dragon form and he was being hurt and everything. And we saw him like basically like wailing and everything, right? Maybe not in extreme pain, and it'll be interesting to see how they portray this in the dub, and it'll be interesting to see how they portray it in the anime. So, but for us to see these visuals of him being hurt and him saying and he reminds them of Odin, but then he doesn't, and then he's not threatened by it at all, to such a point where he changes back to his normal form and is just ready to fight him there. So I'm wondering what the reason for that is. Maybe it's just Oda transitioning. Seems to be a theme of Wano too, to where Oda is like just, you know, everything's just kind of zooming by, which I don't mind. We don't need like an explanation for everything. It's just that usually we're so used to Oda's detailed writing, that's what we come to expect. Even something for as small as, you know, this guy's like, oh man, oh shit, like this guy, man, these guys are going crazy on me, to, you know, he feels like not even threatened that by him at all. So, which he did against Luffy too, and these are 9 scabbards. So, are they saying like Luffy, and we still have yet to see what Luffy's progress is from being in the prison and how much stronger he's actually gotten, because he learned a new technique, but the new technique he learned is irrelevant to like the relative strength he's built, you know, to like basically beat Kaido, because he's going to need brute strength to beat Kaido. He can't, even with Big Mom, right? Because yes, Luffy does win all of his fights by brute strength, but they usually require some kind of strategic purposes and everything. But with Big Mom and Kaido, you straight up, you just gotta be stronger than them. You gotta find a way to like just be more powerful than them, to a point to where he can take their hits and he can dish out bigger hits than them. Like that's the only way you're gonna defeat these two. It's not gonna be strategy or anything. That's just the way it's gotta be. So we have yet to see that how that's played out in this arc, so, or at least since he's been out of that prison. So, yeah, and then Kaido, he gives him a speech and everything. I'm not going to go into much detail about it because I read through it already, so you can like, you know, kind of experience that with me if you want to. But he gives him a speech, Kinemon gives one back, and then they basically start to fight again. And we see the sumo taking out everybody around Kaido. So by the time Luffy and the Straw Hats get there, it's going to be basically none of Kaido's subordinates are going to be there. It's going to be everybody against Kaido more than likely. I don't know if all the Straw Hats are going to make it there to fight Kaido. It might take all of them to fight him. And once again, we don't know how the Big Mom pirates are going to come into play here. And a lot of the beast pirates might make a turn. I'll get to that later. So we're cutting to the first level of the castle, right? Luffy and Sanji and Jinbei, they still haven't gotten past the first level. So we see them basically kicking their way up. Like I said, it's a very fast-paced chapter, so they're basically kicking their way up. Luffy's running. He's not really doing much because he's saving his energy. Jinbei and Sanji are kicking past them. There is this nice moment to where we get another 2 Beast Pirates headliners, or Animal Kingdom Pirates, whatever they want to call them. And Luffy and Jinbei just kick him out the way. And I love that part, right? Because at this point, for like 23 years now, Oda tends to like introduce us to new enemy pirates, especially post Arlong Park, to where anytime there's like an enclosing fight, we meet more pirates. And each arc, there's more and more and more and more and more and more we meet, right? To the point where like in Whole Cake Island, I don't know, it felt like we had about 40 pirates that they were, you know, Big Mom subordinates and children that they were fighting, even after the wedding. So, or after the wedding failed, right? So that was nice to get like it was like a One Punch Man moment to, you know, how One Punch Man, they like play the whole card to where, oh, this guy's gonna be stronger, so the Saitama's gonna, and it's like, no, Saitama's still like OP for him and everything, right? So that was that was like a cool moment for it. So when it came to the Queen and the Plague, this is what I was talking. So when it came to Queen and the Plague, this is what I was talking about earlier, right? To where some of the Beast Pirates may turn on Kaido. And this is probably going to be the main reason, or the main thing to why, because Oda is really emphasizing here how the Beast Pirates feel betrayed by Queen, and Queen is having fun with them, right? So we may, and that may be how Queen gets knocked out. They may not even turn against Kaido, but they may turn against Queen because Queen is in a whole different area from Kaido. So that might be how Queen gets taken care of actually. And we see Chopper just needs to get the antidote. So they're chasing Apu. Yeah, they're chasing Apu around for the antidote. Everybody's getting wiped out. And like I said, Oda's emphasizing a lot here how these pirates are not messing with it and feel betrayed by Queen. And I feel like that's going to be a turning point later on. Could be wrong, but I feel like he's hammering that so much in this chapter. And that seems to be the main switch happening in this chapter. To where, by the end, we get that moment, but the focus of the chapter is this is how Queen, this is going to come back and bite Queen in the ass. This is how it's coming off, right? So yeah, we're going to see how much that plays into it later. But it was nice to see Zoro, Robin, Chopper get some more time. We haven't seen Frankie and Usopp and Nami in a while now, so I wonder what they're up to. And then we get to the end, like I said, very fast-paced chapter. Yamato is just telling Momonosuke, hey, like, I saw your dad, Shinbu, I saw you 20 years ago when the whole incident happened, and I was inspired by it, and now I'm coming to terms. But she has a moment to where she accepts, it's like after she's hit, she accepts that she's Yamato. So that was like, so she's saying she adhered to the will of Odin still, but now she is Yamato. So I wonder what implications that's going to happen. And it feels like during this break too, Oda maybe switched some things around and he thought about some stuff he really didn't want to do, but like, I don't want to say want to do, but he probably thought, okay, this is probably a better idea compared to before where he didn't really have these breaks, right? So we're going to see. Yeah, so, and when it comes to her potentially joining the Straw Hats, I believe this greatly enhances that theory since she is embracing her role now. So, because it would be weird if they put her on the ship and her name was still Odin. Like, that would be weird. So just that little detail, I'm still not for sure if she's gonna join the Straw Hats, but I do think this tremendously helps the chances of it happening. And her protecting Momonosuke too. Momonosuke, I think that's like another sign that she's very well potentially gonna do it. Also, I know the theories out there that Momo's gonna run Wano but I'm not sure. One of them is only going to join the Straw Hats because the other's going to stay and run Wano. So whether it's Momonosuke or also Kinemon may do it. He may run Wano. Or Momo may run Wano as well with Kinemon. So that's a possibility. Or maybe the 9 Scabbards run them. But I think the chances of her joining have tremendously increased. And also it also ties her more to her identity, because a lot of people were confused. They're like, should I call her a man? Should I call her a woman? And I was saying, no, you should always call her, like, I know she was going by Odin, but she still needs to be called a woman. I think what also happened during this break with Oda is that he felt like he needed to verify her identity as a woman, because there were a lot of people saying that, especially like in our society nowadays, who are like, kind of like so careful with pronouns. They felt like they needed to put this with this character, right? And culturally, it's just not what Oda was going for. I'm sure he wasn't applying that to this character. So I felt like during the break, could be wrong, maybe he already thought about it, but I felt like during the break, he was reading a lot of these messages and comments that people were saying, who were like saying their confusion on what they should do. And I feel like he's like, okay, I'm gonna establish her identity right now. because this moment, it doesn't really feel forced, but it does feel like a last minute addition, which I don't mind. I don't mind if stuff feels last minute as long as it makes sense, especially when it's building a character. So I feel like that was his way of establishing, like, no, this is a woman. She's proud, you know what I'm saying? She's proud of her name, and this is how we're going to move on forward. So she's no, it seems the only thing that really feels quick about it is that how fast she drops her whole "I'm Odin" thing. That's the only part that felt like a little rushed. But for the most part, like her accepting her name and everything, I feel like that's a natural transition the character would have. Just any character would have, and we haven't known that much about her. So, and we don't know that much about her. So, I feel like that would have been a natural transition we would have had anyway. With her taking up another name, it would have been weird, like I said, for her to be called Odin. So I feel like that would have been a transition we would have had to make anyway. But the fact it happened so quickly, now she was so quick to drop Odin's name, like, especially to when she meets his son, that's where it kind of felt rushed. But at the same time, I felt like Oda could have been on the break and was like, you know what, this is the perfect time. Let's do it now and everything. And I feel like that does increase the chances that she is eventually joining the crew, you know, as far as gambling odds and everything. Because Oda has already had his mind made up whether she's joining the crew or not. Like, he's already made that decision. It's not like he's writing and he's like, I don't know if I want to make her in the crew or not. Like, he already knows. So, but yeah, it's a pretty good chapter. I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10. Like I said, way better paced as far as moving around from place to place. I felt like it was much more focused. It's still fast paced, but I feel like this was a much more focused chapter. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you have any other theories or comments, let me know. Or anything you want to clarify, or anything I didn't touch upon that you want to see in this video, let me know as well. Thank you.